Welcome back, True Seeker. Just as I was about to go live, I saw the breaking news. 2 ICE detainees killed in shootings at Dallas facility. And of course, here we are on a Wednesday again. If you're new here, I always educate about why there's so many shootings in the news on Wednesday and Saturday. And if you pay attention, you'll never overlook this fact again. Keep in mind, just the other Wednesday, it was Charlie Kirk, and his assassination was compared to that of JFK's in Dallas. Again, everything that they do in the news, you guys, it's a psychological operation meant to outrage people, keep them in fear, keep them divided, taking sides that nobody should be on. We're going to get to this, but I want to start with what I really am doing this broadcast about, and that is because it came to my attention that the Evergreen High School shooting right after the Charlie Kirk assassination is the same high school that Trey Parker, the creator of South Park, attended and graduated from in 1988. And of course, South Park had just put out the episode satirizing Charlie Kirk on August 6th, 5 weeks earlier. And it was set to rerun for the first time on September 10th, the day of the shooting, and Comedy Central canceled it that night because of the news earlier in the day. We're going to get to just how perfect this is. I also want to talk about Rudi Johnson of the Bengals dying at 45 just before the NFL's first game in Ireland. And of course, when you think Rudi in football, you got to think of Rudi of the Fighting Irish who wore number 45. And then you learn gematria and you realize Ireland equals 45. And we'll talk about the rest of it because the Rooney family that owns the Steelers will be facing the Vikings over in Ireland. The Rooney family's Irish. Aaron Rodgers, their quarterback there this year, is also of Irish ancestry. We've been talking about the numerous 106 rituals with the 106th NFL season, and longtime sports figure, Jesuit Sister Jean is dead at 106 in the news this morning. Jean Schmidt, her name is 106. And for anyone who says, well, how could you manufacture the death of a 106-year-old? Here's where I would start, you guys. Do you even know that she was really 106? Her picture. She could be anywhere between 85 and 106. Again, the people in the news, the stories in the news, it is contrived numerical crap every day, and a lot of it is made up and fudged. But yeah, we've been talking about the nonstop 106 rituals. Jim Irsay dead 106 days before kickoff of the season. His Colts off to a 3-0 start, as we thought they might. Armani, 106, the Eagle, dead right before the kickoff of the 106th season as the Eagles get their 106th home win over the NFC East, defeating the Cowboys by the numbers, etc., etc. But yeah, now it's Jean Schmidt, who's from San Francisco, where the Super Bowl will end the 106th season. And of course, she's associated with the Jesuit University out of Chicago, and she's dead on the 35th day of her age. We'll talk more about it. Famous actress also dead at 87. To make a long story short, her full name equals 161, and she's dead 161 days after her birthday. Again, you learn this knowledge, you see through what's going on every day. We'll talk more about the ICE thing, but let's come back to Trey Parker of South Park, who's been synced up with some major rituals on the world stage in the past. The first time I ever covered the parallel with Trey Parker in a major news event, do you remember the supposed ISIS attacks in Paris, France on Friday the 13th? It was a total tribute to Team America World Police, which begins with, America fighting Islamic extremists in Paris, France. And for people who don't know, the superstition of Friday the 13th goes back to the Knights Templar being burned at the stake in France on Friday the 13th. But that whole ritual was synced with Trey Parker, and we covered that way back when. There's been other events since, but this one's just the most obvious. And again, Charlie Kirk shooting happens. Then right after it, shooting at Evergreen High School, where Trey Parker graduated from in 88. And remember how big 88 was? Turning Point USA equals 88. So does Trey Parker III. The Republican Party, Trump, Charlie Kirk's wife, born in 88. The death 88 days after Trump's birthday. Trump, who got real cuddly with Charlie Kirk's wife on the stage as he talked about how much he hates his opponents. Anyway, the name of the episode was called Got a Nut. And do you see how Got a Nut equals 37, like Utah Valley, like Wednesday, like shooting? And here we are again on a Wednesday with another shooting in the headlines. If you missed my work on Charlie Kirk up to this point, the first video I did, which got pretty big views, got taken down for hate speech right away, even though there was zero hate speech in it, nothing but education. Notice there's videos by the millions of views that are up that are full of hate speech. And the reason they're allowed by YouTube is because they participate in exactly what they want the populace to do. Take a side and point their finger at the other side. That's why they do this. So if you get on YouTube and do that, you're doing what they want you to do. That's perfectly tolerated. You get online and do what I do, expose the real evil and who's really behind it and call it out in spades and show how it all traces back to the highest man in the highest office, the Oval Office. You're taken down for hate speech. And notice, in the time of Republican administration, censorship is always through the roof, and that's a guaranteed fact because just pay attention to the history of it. How many channels did I lose during the first Trump administration? About 20. How many did I lose already? You know, as soon as they got back in office, I finally found a platform where I had success. X, where I was averaging between 2,000 and 5,000 people per live stream, I got deleted all the way off the platform on January 27th. And do I favor the Republicans or the Democrats? No, I don't. I call out both administrations equally because I can't stand either one. But it's easy for me to see that the censorship is worse when Republicans are in office. I'd never been deleted off YouTube until Trump's first time around. And what day did I get deleted? On Elon Musk's birthday. That was the first deletion, June 28, 2017. And before you know it, I was on my 10th, 15th channel. Anyway. If you're new here, Gematria, the Kabbalistic practice of coding numbers into words. There are 4 base ciphers. I learned about this in the 1926 book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages. This practice of coding numbers into words predates English. It goes back to Hebrew and Aramaic and ancient Greek, all the biblical languages. Revelation 13:18 is one of these types of riddles, words and numbers. But the 4 base ciphers are the alphabetic order. A is 1 up to Z is 26, the reverse alphabetic order, and both orders with numerology applied. Charlie Kirk's full name, Charles James Kirk equals 107. Again, where his memorial just happened in State Farm Stadium. That stadium equals 107. Where State Farm was founded, Bloomington, Illinois, it equals 107. The day of the memorial was the 107th day of State Farm's age. And that night, the Sunday night football game, the whole NFL was scripted around Charlie Kirk this past Sunday, as we pointed out. But the last game was Patrick Mahomes, the State Farm guy, getting his 107th career win. And the last win of the week, scripted around Charlie Kirk, was with Jared Goff at the helm for the Lions, upsetting the Ravens. Jared Goff just happens to have the same birthday as Charlie Kirk, October 14th. But yeah, shooting 107. Shooting 44, Charlie Kirk died on the kill date, a date we had circled at the very beginning of the year. We circle all the kill dates at the start of the year. There's one a month. Next month, it's October 9th. November, it's the 8th. December, it's the 7th. That's the way it falls this year. Again, it's all about date numerology. It's the dates that have the kill date numerology. There's 3 paths that will line up with the word kill once a month. Kill equals 64, 44, 28. And again, it was September 10th was the date for September. The month prior, it was August 11th. The month before that, it was July 12th. The month before that, it was June 13th, the day Israel attacked Iran, and so on and so forth. Anyway, and you run it in reverse, shootings 109, like 10th day of 9th month, the day of the Charlie Kirk shooting. And next month, October 9th, can also be written 10-9. And then, again, Wednesday is the only day of the week that equals 37 and 44, like shooting. Here we are again with today's news. Here's today's news on a Wednesday. It's clockwork. And remember, Saturday is the only day of the week that equals 109 and 107. That's why Saturday and Wednesday are so full of shootings again and again. But got a nut. It says this is what the episode was about. It's the 27th season. There's a fateful number. In this episode, Counselor Mr. Mackey is fired and joins ICE, while Eric Cartman becomes a parody of conservative commentator Charlie Kirk after his classmate Clyde starts a right-wing podcast. The episode satirizes the Trump administration, featuring animated versions of Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, and Kristi Noem. Mackey's increasing nut income grows as he arrests immigrants, which makes him question his career choice, and he eventually receives a trip to the wealthy Mar-a-Lago island. Who can forget the Mar-a-Lago raid on 8/8 in light of Charlie Kirk dying 88 days after Trump's birthday? Or that Trey Parker III graduated from Evergreen in 88. But notice how Clyde, who makes the right-wing podcast like Kirk's, his name equals 22 like Kirk, and don't forget they put out the new Star Trek Captain Kirk thing for the 60th season, the day that Kirk was assassinated, going with the rituals with Charlie Sheen and King Charles. And shoot, there was another one that came across my radar that I forgot already. Anyway, Utah's also 22. The shooting happened on the 253rd day of the year, which is the 22nd triangular number, meaning if you had 1 through 22, it equals 253. 22-year-old shooter Tyler Robinson. Tyler guards the Masonic Lodge. 22 is the master builder number. Trump referred to Charlie Kirk as the master builder when he took the stage at his memorial by the numbers this past Sunday before he groped his wife. But notice, Eric Cartman is who portrays Charlie Kirk. Look at the overlap, you guys. 105, 192, 75. Do you remember the coordinates of the Evergreen school? Because we talked about how it was on the 105th Meridian West. When Trump met with King Charles, it was on the day leaving 105 days left in the year. King Charles was in the news. They call him Charlie over in the UK. For meeting with his son for the first time in 19 months, the day Charlie Kirk was killed, who started Turning Point USA in his 19th year of life. 19 is a time number because the moon's on a 19-year cycle. But yeah, look at how Eric Cartman and Charlie Kirk overlap in 3 out of the 4 ciphers. And don't forget the shooter's name, Tyler Robinson, also equals 75, like order out of chaos, which is a Masonic motto. The 192 matters because Turning Point was founded 192 days before the shooting in Newtown, Connecticut, which began a major push for gun control. And that push is, again, alive and well after the Charlie Kirk shooting. We'll see if Utah becomes a state where people can no longer open carry on campus. It's one of the only states where that's allowed. Again, Charlie Kirk, the only one where they don't overlap is 51 and 60. 51's the conspiracy number. This is the 60th election. Donald Trump's 60. The memorial was 60 days before Charlie Kirk's wife's upcoming birthday. The new CEO of Turning Point. Again, the shooting was 60 weeks and 4 days after the Trump ear wound, which was a total hoax. Remember, Charlie Kirk, he was shot 331 days after his birthday, the 67th prime, and human sacrifice and blood sacrifice both equal 67 forwards, 86 in reverse. Clyde, the character who does the podcast in the new episode that came out on 8/6, parodying Charlie Kirk. Think about that. That episode came out on 8/6, August 6th, just before all this. Can also be written 6/8, like CIA's 68, and have no doubt that South Park's part of it. Again, I remember being a young person when South Park came out. I thought it was a really crude show at the time. I thought, man, this is like a new type of humor. And obviously, since South Park's come out, it's nothing now compared to what's out there. But just for all you younger people who weren't alive back when things like South Park were new, it was looked at as like, is this show a little bit over the edge? And you have just seen, in terms of humanity, especially in the United States, you've just seen I feel like things like South Park chipped away at people's decency. And we are a very indecent society. And you see most young people, they just don't have really any decency in them. I had these 2 little girls come to my door the other day selling candy bars for a fundraiser. And we bought a bunch from them to help them out. And then I noticed neither of them even said thank you. They just took the money and walked away. And I thought, man, I remember being a little kid doing things like this. I would have definitely said thank you. They just took the money and just turned around and walked away. I just thought... And I don't get mad at them. I just say, well, this is the age group that hardly has any human interaction. They sit in front of screens all day. But my God, don't the parents say, hey, if they buy something, make sure you say thank you. Yeah, it's just where we are this day and age. By the way, we're not going to eat the candy bars. So if you guys are in the neighborhood on Halloween, we'll pass them back out to people. But anyway, look at how Trey Parker III and Turning Point USA overlap perfectly. Isn't that nice? 187 homicide code, 88 in 88 days after Trump's birthday. And don't forget, I should have put this one up here too. Let me put this one up here again. Let's just write out Evergreen, Colorado, where the school is. And another part of me keeps thinking that somehow The Simpsons is going to factor into this, because if you don't know, the creator of The Simpsons, he went to Evergreen, the college just south of Seattle. In Olympia, where the capital is. But yeah, Evergreen, Colorado is also 88. Just like Trump, like the Republican Party, like Holy Roman Empire, like George Washington. like Masonic ritual, which the whole thing is, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I mean, again, everybody's so busy like looking at footage, and who cares about the footage, you guys? There's no point in studying video footage at this day and age because everything is so easily manipulated. You live in the age of AI. You will never know what is fake and what is real with video. But you know what is true? Dates, numbers, verifiable evidence. The reason I went down this path in 2013 and have been presenting this every single day ever since is because anyone who has a brain, which sadly is few and far between, can see that this is undeniable. And this is proof that you can use literally every day with every national news story. And that's not an exaggeration. Everything in the news is contrived this way Kabbalistically. They do this because of Kabbalah. The Kabbalah. Kabbalah is where this thing of letters and numbers comes from. Your current president studied Kabbalah. He wrote a book about it. Most of the people up at the top are into Kabbalah. Centuries ago, the ruling class in Europe was into Kabbalah, and they made sure the knowledge was only kept by them. And that's why it's mostly all oral tradition. In the Kabbalistic texts that exist, there's very little in regards to those texts because most of this is stuff that's passed down orally and kept in high circles. Why do you think YouTube has worked so hard to delete so many channels? And for all the dummies that come across this and think it's some kind of coincidence or don't want to share it, you are the problem. If you think it's better to study the footage, you're a moron. Anyway, that it's never going to provide you any proof of anything, the footage. Never, ever, ever. It's too easily manipulated. This is the manipulation they're doing that can be seen when you know how to see it. By the way, who was the shooter there at the Colorado school? Desmond Hawley. Notice how Trey Parker, Desmond Hawley, and Church of Satan overlap. And the Church of Satan thing is huge because, again, Trump runs on MAGA, the highest degree of the Church of Satan. And you can tell that's not a coincidence because, again, it was Obama who told the joke on the 45th birthday of the Church of Satan, April 30th, 2011, that Trump would become number 45. And he did that at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, where he also joked that he was from Africa. And the proof was the Lion King footage where he was Simba, which is 44. Like Obama was number 44, in case you forgot. But yeah, also about the Church of Satan. What is their symbol? It's a 5-pointed star, right? The episode came out 5 weeks before the Charlie Kirk shooting, where he was underneath a tent with lightning bolts, like Satan comes to earth in a bolt of lightning. Notice, Satan equals 55, 10, and 35. He was shot on the 10th. 35 days later, the memorial was on 55 date numerology, right? 55 date numerology. And how old is Trey Parker right now? Trey Parker is 55 years old. Remember Marilyn Manson, who's in the Church of Satan? He has the song, "When you say God, I say 10." And it's spelled S-A-Y number 10. And notice how God has the 55 and 10. So does Satan, 55 and 10. If you add 1 through 10 together, it equals 55. 55 is also the 10th Fibonacci number, which are said to be the numbers of God. So, and again, the Charlie Kirk memorial, for anyone with eyes to see, was totally satanic. And this was curious what she did at the end, but they can get away with saying that that is the I love you sign in sign language, which is true. But you look at her next to Mr. Mega. Are you trying to get in the live stream? Well, you're in the live stream now. Well, we got Grandma Donna here.
Hi, everybody. I'm gonna have you try this apple.
You're gonna have them try apple?
I want you. I think it's got a peel on it. Did you ask the store if they're spraying Bill Gates? It doesn't even taste like an apple.
She wants me to eat the apple because it has Bill Gates' appeal on it.
Well, I think it does. It doesn't taste like an apple.
Okay. Okay. Okay, and by the way, just about Trey Parker's last name, Parker, does it remind you of a big time shooting that with a lot of gun control action behind it? Remember the guy who was smiling and having a good old time, and then they let him know he was on camera. He's like, "Oh, yeah, hey, what's up, man? I'm about to be on TV." Oh, earlier today, my daughter. It's just like, come on, man. And here, Here, in case you forgot who I'm talking about, supposedly he got like $1 billion from Alex Jones. Let me show you how that one went down here real quick too. Alex Jones, the plant. Let me show you how perfect the ritual was when he got $1 billion. He didn't really get all billion, but he supposedly got 120 million. You remember this one right here? Robbie Parker gets 120 million of Alex Jones's money. Yeah. Okay. I mean, you guys, again, 33-hour manhunt, the ritual on 9/11, which was the biggest 33 ritual in history, with the arrest, which was 33 days before Charlie Kirk's upcoming birthday on October 14th, and then the whole thing in Glendale, 33 land on the 33rd parallel north. But yeah, think about that too with Parker. And remember, the ritual in France had a lot to do with 33, which was foreshadowed by Team America World Police, which, by the way, is a hilarious movie. You got to give credit where it's due. It is funny. You got to give credit where it's due. Anyway, France is the plus 33 international dialing code, and also where the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry came to power, which has the highest degree of 33. So, yeah, if you're not up to speed, we've done a lot of work on Charlie Kirk, but this was a major oversight about Trey Parker having gone to Evergreen High School, and you can look it up. Trey Parker, Evergreen High School. It's a fact. He graduated from there in 88. Trey Parker, following his graduation from Evergreen High School in 1988. Of course, we all knew he was a Colorado guy. But yeah, Evergreen, the university, is also where the Simpsons creator went. So I'm just wondering how that might end up factoring in. And how many years was 88 before 2025? Wasn't it 37? Wasn't it 37 years? 37 years later, right? Like Utah Valley, like Wednesday, like shooting, like got a nut. Okay. So yeah. And by the way, like you guys, for example, viral video right now on YouTube. This video starts off by the guy going, "This video will surely be suppressed in the algorithm." Let's see if it was surely suppressed. Almost 5 million views. And it was posted not even 48 hours ago. The reason a video like this isn't suppressed is because they could give two shits if people are looking at information like this and going, oh, actually, he got shot from this angle. See, we see the flash in the crowd out here, and then you see the slow motion, the wound through the back, and then out through the neck. Maybe that is what happened. It is a lot different than the FBI story, but you know what the problem with this is? It doesn't hold anyone accountable. All it makes you go is, oh, the FBI story must not be true. But who's looking to the FBI for true information in 2025 when the FBI has probably never once, not in their history, given the American people a single truth? To be talking about like, man, it looks like the FBI might have lied to us. It's like, well, were you born yesterday? Where you been? When did the FBI give us an ounce of truth ever? Didn't the FBI double down on the idea that everything disappeared on 9/11 except for the terrorist passports, the indestructible passports? I mean, that's why it gets annoying. And it's, you see, that's the real reason this stuff's viral, because those are like the keywords for like, oh, man, so maybe the FBI is not honest right now. Right now? I mean, what? See, you guys, who in the world had the date circled September 10th at the beginning of the year and told everybody to just wait for a story just like this? Again, we're the only people that are a million miles ahead of the curve. We're the only people that connect all the dots like this day in, day out. And notice, we don't grow because they unsubscribe more people than subscribe each day, because they delete the videos, they delete the channel, they say it's hate speech when there's none. I'm grateful, though, that YouTube now adds an explanation for what hate speech is, since I've lost so many channels for hate speech. They literally gave me a write-up for why my Charlie Kirk video was taken down for hate speech. They said it was for questioning a well-documented mainstream article, which is also not fair, because actually I didn't even question the official narrative in the video they took down. At the time, I said I hadn't seen the footage yet. I said I was hearing all about it, but what this really was about was explaining why this happened today and to this person. And as time's gone on, there's been even more details that have come out, but it just further cements the point. And like I've always said to you guys, I mean, who are the people that are falling hook, line, and sinker for all the lies? It's the religious people, right? And these people don't really stand for anything. Haven't you heard the right-wingers for the last few years saying, oh, the left, they're all about cancel culture. oh, they disagree with you, so they want you out of here. And isn't that what it's all about? You see all these right-wingers saying, we got to get rid of these people that said this bad thing about Charlie. Listen, why does anyone need to speak nicely about Charlie Kirk? He shit all over darker complected people. He was misogynistic. He wanted to take us back to the Stone Ages. He's against education and for religion. Why do you need to speak highly of him because he's supposedly dead? I'm sorry, you don't need to. No, you don't need to. He led young people into the Republican Party. Again, both political parties are horrible, but I'd say the Republicans are definitely worse. When they're in power, the worst things happen, like 9/11, like Cooties 19. Were there any lockdowns under Joe Biden? No, Joe Biden didn't do a great job with it either, but that happened under Trump. You know, was it a bunch of Democratic politicians that rushed out the Patriot Act? No, all that legislation that passed under the Patriot Act was literally all written by right-wingers. That was all right-wing legislation from decades earlier that could never pass until 9/11. The right wing is the military, police, surveillance state. And that's why when Trump got back in there, you had all these people getting behind him talking about how they want to build this AI surveillance state. The right wing, again, I can't stand either wing, but the right wing is worse by a lot. And yeah, I know a lot of you on the right are like, well, the only reason I vote for them, though, is because they're pro-life. Yeah, okay, there's not really. They're all about war and, death penalty and mass incarceration, which might as well be taking away people's lives. But yeah, I get it. They do care about the fetus. I get it. And I do think abortion's a sick thing too. And I can show you the ritualism of that, like I've shown a million times, and why they overturned Roe versus Wade on modern Freemasonry's birthday. But again, you look at the policies, really, these two parties. And let's just be honest about the Democrats too. Are they even a political party, or are they just a punching bag? I feel like that's what they are, just a punching bag. They don't know how to brand anything. They don't know how to speak. They don't have any real ideas. They kind of like oppose the Republicans. And then when they get in power, they just do what the Republicans did. The only thing they really stand for at this day and age is LGBTQ, which is why they've branded this whole thing with LGBTQ. Charlie Kirk was getting asked the question about LGBTQ mass shooters. And then they come out with the shooter had a roommate who's LGBTQ. Anyway, and again, they just know that that's a divisive thing that's going to drive people insane. But most people don't see why that is the thing, along with a lot of other things. Everything's coming back to population control right now, too. And as dumb as everybody is at this point, it's almost like, well, maybe that's a good thing. Do we need any more dummies? Because we're overflowing in them. But anyway, this Rudi Johnson thing. Rudi. Right before the first NFL game in Ireland. I mean, just look how perfect it is, you guys. He's dead at 45, right? Another NFL player dead at a very young age. Then they said he deleted himself, I'm sure. But Rudi for Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish. Remember last year, the first college ranked game was in Ireland. I told you then that it looked like Notre Dame would be in the championship. I know some douchebag made fun of that. And how did that work out for him? Again, I gave you for free at the beginning of the year that looked like Ohio State would win the championship. Notre Dame would be there. Is that exactly what happened? Because it is. Remember how they sacrificed Johnny Gaudreau and his brother, who Johnny Gaudreau was playing in Columbus at the time where Ohio State is as the season began? Anyway, this is what it is over and over. Ritual sacrifices that go unnoticed unless they tell you that's what happened, like a Charlie Kirk thing, and they turn that into the whole focus of the news. But yeah, right before the first Ireland game, Rudi is dead at 45. And again, the Rooney family is Irish. Just for a few other fast facts, Rudi Johnson played in 96 games in an NFL career. His full name, Barudi Ali Johnson, equals 96, like Cincinnati. Also like Freemason. Again, American football's credit to the Freemason Walter Camp. He was drafted 24 years ago. Bengals 24. Ohio's the 17th state. Kill equals 17. He retired from the NFL 17 years ago, and now he's dead. Rudi Johnson, 60, like Bengals, like this is the year of Super Bowl 60. And remember, Charlie Kirk, 60. Donald Trump, 60. Week 3 was all about Charlie Kirk. Every game in the NFL was scripted around Charlie Kirk. They had to get Kirk Cousins out on the field. The Oregon Duck quarterbacks had to win, his favorite team. His Chicago Bears had to win with 31 points over Dallas. The final game of the night, 22-9 with the State Farm guy, 31 points. Last game of the week, Jared Goff with the same birthday as Charlie Kirk wins. Nothing but scripts. Christian Kirk from Scottsdale, Arizona, had his debut game coming in with 31 career touchdowns under his belt playing for Houston. The Texans, when the old Texans team was the Dallas Texans that became the Kansas City Chiefs, the same year JFK was assassinated. And by the way, that was in 63, and Caleb Williams won 307 days after his birthday, the 63rd prime. Anyway, you see how they choose these people? And just for the record, too, about the actual Rudi, his name is Daniel Eugene Rudiger, and his birthday is 23/8, same birthday as Kobe, Notre Dame Fighting Irish, 238, right? And speaking of Kobe, if you missed the short video I did on what they did this week with Monday Night Football, actually, hold on, it's in my NFL. I got to pull up my NFL Week 3 notes. I just want you to see how perfectly scripted all this stuff is. We already liked the Lions to beat the Ravens before they even did this, but once they did it, it was undeniable. I like Jackson for 2 pennies. We killed the player props and the game on. Look at this, you guys. All right, so the Lions came in. Let me show you. The Lions have now played 666. The Lions have now played 666 road games. 666 was Monday night, right? With speaking of just the parallels to Charlie Kirk and all this satanic stuff. Again, Jared Goff, the quarterback, same birthday. But they had Lamar Jackson come into the game wearing a Kobe Bryant 81-point game t-shirt. And, of course, he wore 8 back then, like Lamar Jackson wears 8. If you're new here, Kobe Bean Bryant equals 81. And Kobe Bryant alone is 41, like he died at age 41. Can cover this in a big way, wrote a book about it. You see how Kobe Bryant's 41 and 58? So is Baltimore, who Lamar Jackson plays for. 58 is the 41st composite number. But, all right, when Kobe scored 81, the rest of his team scored 41. And when Kobe scored 60 in his last game, the rest of his team scored 41. It was a number that defined his career. When he came off the court for the last time, there were 4.1 seconds. So anyway, when Kobe scored 81, it was his 666th career game. And Kobe also promoted the 666 workout. For the record, Mark of the Beast equals 81 and 54, like Kobe Bean Bryant. But you see how Kobe Bean Bryant's also 243? Look at this. From the anniversary of Kobe's 81-point game to Lamar Jackson coming out in that shirt was 243 days. And Lamar Jackson came into that game 24-2 versus the NFC. He lost and became 24-3 in the last game of NFL Week 3. Lamar Jackson record versus NFC as a starter. Oh, that's for this season. Lamar Jackson all-time record versus NFC as a starter. 24-3. See how they did that? See how they have him come out in this shirt? Again, you guys, this is what it is to be in the world of celebrity. To be put on the world stage, to become a millionaire through being in the game. You are not in control of your life, and you are participating in the rituals that are written for you as you are in the world stage. And we've been talking about this stuff for over a decade. Over a decade. And we talked about how if the Ravens lost, white QBs would improve to 21-5 versus black QBs, a lot like 215, the Philadelphia area code. They've been doing this every week with Monday Night Football. Week 1, when McCarthy beat Caleb Williams, white QBs became 8-2 versus black QBs for the week. Chicago, Illinois, 82. Last week after the doubleheader, white QBs became 6-2 versus black QBs. It was all synced up with a 62-year-old John Gruden who got fired for racism. You can see Buccaneers is 62. It's also 37. Remember, Super Bowl 37 was the Bucs over the Raiders. The Bucs won. The Raiders lost in the doubleheader. Mayfield became 3-7 on Mondays in the first game. And Tampa Bay Buccaneers is also 62, just like Buccaneers, and they play at Raymond James Financial Field, which Raymond James Financial was established in 62. And football is 29, and it was 29 days after Gruden's 62nd birthday. And the second score of the game was 20-9, 29 points, because it is all this scripted. But, yeah, again, that's why you learn this knowledge. Again, it's like that's what drives me nuts. It's like seeing a video like this. This video is going to be censored in the algorithm. They don't want this information out there. No, they don't give a shit if this information out there. That's why you got 5 million views and you made $30-some thousand off the video. This information, this information, every time I go live, it should probably get 1 billion views. Imagine if we were getting 1 billion views every time. The world would change like this. Boom. Like this. And that's not, there's 1 billion people on YouTube. Everybody should be consuming every one of these videos. It shows you what's going on in the world every single day, how scripted it is, who's doing it, what needs to be shut down. They're never going to let that happen because the same thing that runs your government, your news, they run these social media platforms. They'll let this shit go viral because it doesn't matter. It might be a little bit informative. It might be interesting. It might be important, but it's not as important as the knowledge that lets you see through the rigged news, the rigged elections, the rigged markets, the rigged crypto, the rigged sports, and does it all in spades. And by the way, when we saw that he came out in that, we were like, shit, this game's already about 41 because we pointed out how many 41s were in this game. Again, Baltimore is 41. Kobe Bryant's 41, right? So before this, here's what we said. Here's how many 41s were on the board. The Ravens could fall to 4-1 at home versus the Lions. Dan Campbell could get his 41st win with the Lions. Jared Goff could get his 41st win with the Lions. Keep in mind, Jared Goff used to play in LA, which also equals 41 like Kobe. Jared Goff could get his 41st career road win. Jared Goff could become 4-1 on Mondays with the Lions and become 4-1 on the road on Mondays. All those 41s. Jared Goff also got his 87th career win. You see how Monday Night Football is 87, but so is Number of the Beast, in light of it being the 666th road game for the Lions. Again, this is what's going on, you guys. All you Christians out there. You know, that's why the average Christian, they're just completely backwards as a human being. They follow evil. They're invested in evil. They believe in evil. They have no ability to see what's evil. That's why they think Trump was saved by God on July 13th when it was an obvious hoax. That's why they think Charlie Kirk was a man of God when he advocated for nothing that Jesus would ever advocate for. He was pro-war. He was pro-racism. He was pro-incarceration. He said, fuck the poor, not feed the poor. Again, Charlie Kirk was not anything that Jesus espoused at all. Just like the Republican Party isn't, and neither are the Democrats. The reason people fall for this is because they've been indoctrinated and they just believe all the bullshit that's fed to them every day. They turn on Fox News and they see flags waving and lots of talk of Jesus and Stars of David and buy this gummy. You won't even need to eat fruits and vegetables anymore. Here's a Jesus cross in the background. Here's a roaring lion. Here's a Star of David this time. You like these symbols. Buy this gummy. Here, didn't you see our graphic? It's the same as eating 5,000 fruits and vegetables. This gummy. Watch this news network. You guys know what I'm talking about if you watch Fox News, right? It's by the guy with the mustache's latest bed sheets or towels or slippers, and buy this gummy. And, you know, during COVID, those are like the only two people advertising on there. It was funny, but it's not as bad as it used to, but they still advertise all the time. What do they call it? Balance of nature. This gummy is just like eating so many fruits and vegetables, one gummy a day. Yeah, I'm sure. You got to be dumb to believe these things, but dumb people are easily manipulated. And like I said, who's doing all these sick jokes? This Jesuit Catholic woman, this poor little thing. I bet you anything she wasn't 106, you guys. I'd bet you anything that's not true. She's probably in her 90s. But Gene Schmidt, 106, right? For the 106th season, like I haven't been harping on about this. She went to the Chicago Jesuit School, dead on her 35th day of her age. And what day is she dead? 24/9, like 249? Like that's how old the country is? Remember what they just did with Charlie Kirk? Shot 249 days after the state of Utah's birthday. When the 3 Ruffians equals 249. The 3 Ruffians who killed Solomon's temple. 3 arrests made in the Charlie Kirk thing. The 3rd one was the charm. And again, just Jesuitism, Catholic, and Holy See, all 35. JFK, number 35, killed on I-35, run it in reverse. Catholics, 46. JFK killed at age 46. The next Catholic president, Biden, elected 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday, is number 46. After his son died at 46, synced with the Pope. Then Hunter Biden gets ritualistically shamed, born on the 35th day of the year. And it's curious that his name is Hunter, and he was born on the 35th day of the year because JFK was killed in Sagittarius, which is the hunter. And then the next Catholic president has a son named Hunter, and everybody's just distracted with him and his laptop through the whole thing. And realize that's the game always in American politics, isn't it? You're not even paying attention to anything that actually matters to you. You're paying attention to Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky. You're paying attention to, well, George W. Bush. You should have been paying attention to a lot of things, like how he got elected in Florida, where his brother was the 43rd governor, as he became number 43, and their daddy was the 43rd vice president. But anyway, the next guy you're focused on, is he actually an African? Is he African? Is he from Kenya? Then it's, Donald Trump, and every time Donald Trump's in there, they got a gazillion different polarizing stories, which is the game. And then, Biden's in there and it's just all about Hunter Biden and his laptop. It's just, but none of this stuff at the end of the day really has anything to do with you. What it has to do with us is we're being lied to every day. We're being overtaxed. We're being manipulated. We're being poisoned. Our government's not doing anything that really matters. Again, across the Atlantic, almost everything that's in our processed food is banned and illegal. Over here, it's not. And then people are dying of all this crazy disease and illness at young ages and fatter than God knows what. And I mean, these are the things that matter. I remember shortly after I graduated from college, it must have been 2006-ish, our Congress voted to make sure this common preservative in food no longer even needs to be put on food labels. And I just remember at the time when that passed, I thought, okay, so some preservative doesn't even need to be on labels anymore because it's so common. Is it more possible that they don't even want to know what this thing is or know that it's there? And what does it do to us? Again, everything going on is about depopulation. Also, just for the record, she died on the 35th day of her age. You could also say she died 34 days after her birthday. Ramblers and Murder 34. We just saw Charlie Kirk die 34 days before his birthday. And Mormon's also 34, Mormon shooter. The last thing he talked about was the 34-year-old killer of the Ukrainian woman when Ukraine's also 34. But yeah, there she is, supposedly 106. My guess is she wasn't that old. It was just all part of the script, and her number was up. And just for the record, in light of her being a Jesuit, 21st day of the NFL season, she's dead. Jesuit. All right, yeah, and then just another famous actress. I was in a hurry with this one. I'm sure you go into her filmography. There's probably a lot more here, but just famous actress, dead 161 days after her birthday when her name's 161. I mean, this is what goes on every day in Hollywood when you learn this. That's why there's the song out there, Gematria, the killing name. That's why there's the song out there, Murder by Numbers, where killing is as simple as ABC is 1, 2, 3. And again, you learn this, you go, oh, wow, another Wednesday shooting. I just tuned into a channel that said this happens all the time. Maybe they're not wrong. Maybe they're not wrong. How about the lead investigator and how does this even happen anyway? Does the story make sense? 2 ICE detainees killed in a shooting at a Dallas facility? Like how? How? But, the shooter had written things on their bullets. That's the new trend. Anti-ICE is what they wrote, 47. But look, the guy who's the spokesperson, his name is Joe Rothrock. Look how it overlaps with Donald Trump. 138, 159, 60. Remember, ICE was created on the 60th day of the year. It came out of 9/11, March 1st, the 60th day of the year. All this ICE stuff after the 60th election. Again, the one where Donald Trump had a gazillion 60 rituals leading up to it, including sacrificing his ex-wife 60 weeks into the first Jesuitic nation year. Joe Rothrock, also 57, like Scottish Rite. JFK killed in Dealey Plaza, named after a Scottish Rite Freemason. I didn't put the screenshot up here, but here, I'll just do it again. Today's 269 days after the state's birthday, Dallas. Dallas has that December, or not Dallas, but Texas has that December 29th birthday. So today's 269 days after the state's birthday. 57th prime, Scottish Rite 57, Joe Rothrock. Donald Trump, a Scottish ancestry, no doubt a Mason. Remember, Scottish Rite 165. Trump born on the 165th day of the year, June 14th. Scottish Rite 159, like Donald Trump. Donald Trump retook office at 78. I'll tell you another 78, actually, while we're at it, is Kennedy. Partnered up with RFK Jr. Cleveland 78, the nation's first split-term president since Grover Cleveland when he had his 2016 convention in Cleveland. Cleveland's also 165. Remember, Cleveland was the only city that paid tribute to Charlie Kirk this past Sunday in the NFL as they upset the Packers, which upset me as well. I didn't see that one coming, but I got the joke once they did it. Masonry 33. But yeah. Another Wednesday shooting. And so, yeah, while stuff like this gets all the views and he starts to be, this will surely be suppressed. YouTube will not let this one get out there. 5 million views. Again, 281,000 likes. If my video ever had 281,000 likes, YouTube would still only be showing 500 likes because that's how they do this channel because they don't want this information out there. This is what it looks like when they really don't want the information out there. When you're the only person on the internet who in the beginning of the year had the date circled, telling people in the morning to wake up, it's the kill date, look for what they do today, et cetera, and then it unfolds just as you've been educating about for a decade. Put it all together in 5 seconds after the news breaks. People are still trying to figure it out. Who did it? Who done it? It's like, it's not hard to see who done it. It's a no-brainer who done it. Same people who gave you the calendar. Same people who set up camp where the federal government now is. Who moved inauguration day to January 20th for their purposeful numerical magic. So anyway, the shooter has been identified. And they already got a picture of the bullets that he wrote on. Who was Joshua? Joshua John, JJ. You know, Joshua English. It's so weird. Birthday, I was born on the coldest day ever recorded. -89 Celsius, like the chapters in the gospel. My whole life, people call me Joshua. Did you guys hear the first caller to Ground Zero with Clyde Lewis last week? The first caller called in and said, "Hi, Joshua." When she was talking to me, I was like, what the hell? Even on the radio, they called me Joshua. No, I'm not claiming I'm Jesus, but it is weird. My whole life, everybody calls me Joshua. It's been going on since I was a small child. I've probably been called Joshua. Even people who've known me for a long time will even call me Joshua. I don't know what it is. Had I been named Joshua, I would not need to. I wouldn't even need to tell people my name. They would just know. Joshua. And just for the record, it does have that 74 like Jesus, and it is the English translation of Jesus. But 74, it's the active shooter number. You saw the other numbers there, 88. That's all over the Trump and Turning Point USA. And think about it, the Trey Parker South Park episode had to do with Charlie Kirk and ICE and right wingers and podcasts. And they keep comparing this to JFK in Dallas. It's just Masonic. So Joshua's 20 like death, 34 like murder. Joshua's also 34 like Jesus and cross and church. But and don't forget, in Greek isopsephy, the name for Jesus equals 888. So, and remember, over in Israel, they've compared Donald Trump, his author name Donald J. Trump, and his best-selling book Art of the Deal. It's the Art of the Deal. That's what I'm missing. The Art of the Deal and Donald J. Trump. In Sumerian gematria, which is where you multiply the alphabetic order times 6, they're both 888. If you've seen Charlie Kirk's remarks about how people need to die to preserve the Second Amendment that's been getting a lot of play, those remarks were actually made 888 days before he was shot on the nose. 888. If I remember right, it was April 6, 2023 that he said that. Let me check that out real quick. I think that was the date. April 6th. Yeah, it was. And the thing about April 6th, it can be written 6-4, right? 6-4. Remember, Kill is 64. Charles Kirk is 6, it's his full name. Charles James Kirk is 64. He was asked the question about transgender mass shooters. Transgenders 64, of course, mass shooters 44 and 64. And he was asked by Hunter. And I saw somebody show that Hunter guy is connected to the Jesuit-educated loser who gets a lot of attention online, Destiny. So I thought, he works in relationship with Destiny. It's all looking a little bit theatrical. But yeah, Joshua John. Hold on, I didn't even run the whole name. Here we go. Joshua John. Oh. Do you guys see it? Do you guys see it already? 107. Do you guys see it? Shooting 107. Joshua John 163, the 38th prime. Death 38. Murder 38. Killing 38. RIP 38. Utah 38. Charles James Kirk 107 and 163. Like Joshua John. Charlie Sheen was just happening to be on Joe Rogan as they talked about Platoon, Vietnam, a civil war that happened, and then the U.S. got involved after JFK was killed. And King Charles just happened to be in the news before Charlie Kirk meeting with his son for the first time in 19 months. And like I said, Charlie Kirk started Turning Point USA in his 19th year of life. He turned 19 in 2012. By the way, in light of them saying he's a martyr and like talking about like he's Jesus on the cross, Charlie Kirk was born in 93. Remember, crucifix equals 93, God's son 93, Nazareth 93. In Sumerian gematria, Christianity is 930, and the Christian section of the New Testament begins with Matthew 1, the 930th chapter. We're coming up on September 29th, the day leaving 93 days left in the air with this theme in the air. They got it all synced with Trump, another 79 as well, just like Society of Jesus is 79. Knights Templars 79. Murders 79. Getting murdered 88 days after Trump's 79th birthday. In the golden era, when gold's the 79th element on the periodic table, and in alchemy, gold's the sun, and in astrotheology, Jesus is the sun. Okay. But yeah, Joshua John. Okay, I see where they went with that one already. Perfect shooting death connection. Syncs right up with Charlie Kirk, who's still fresh in the news. Sources familiar with the investigation of the Dallas immigration facility shooting identified Wednesday's alleged attacker as Joshua John, JJ 29. The gunman killed 2 detainees and injured another after opening fire on a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE facility from a nearby building before taking his own life, police say. The detainee who survived was hospitalized in critical condition. John fired indiscriminately at the ICE building as well as at a van in the Sallyport where the victims were shot. The Department of Homeland Security said the 3 detainees were in an unmarked transport van when they were shot before John took his own life around 7 a.m. According to the sources, he was found dead with a rifle on a nearby rooftop. Doesn't it sound like this is just meant to keep everything in our minds just fresh? And it just had to be the same city as JFK. And it should remind you that the day of the Charlie Kirk shooting, it was 63 days from the Superior General's birthday, which is the 44th composite number. Like JFK was the 44th term president, number 35, but the 44th term. Here, how many days are we from the JFK anniversary? 59 days or a span of 60. Like ICE was created on the 60th day of the year. And that also means, unless I'm tripping, yeah, today would be the 307th day, which is the 63rd prime. Come on. Come on, you guys. You don't think this is a ritual? Remember how they got the 22-year-old shooter on the 11th after a 33-hour manhunt, going with JFK on 22/11 in the plaza named after the 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason? Again, JFK gave the speech about secrecy to the Newspaper Publishers of America, only to die in Dealey Plaza. George Dealey was a newspaper guy. And for the record, in Jewish gematria, again, Derek renamed it Latin on his calculator. Freemason equals 307, just for the record. Freemason, the Fraternal Order of Police is Masonic. So yeah, I'll add these written details. For any of the usual trolls who sit out there and watch and leave comments like, it must take you all day to contrive and make all this number crap fit together. No, it doesn't. It takes me seconds. That's how I get through so much content daily as a busy individual. It's how I can wake up at 4 a.m. and have a decode worth more than your life in 10 minutes after not sleeping all night because I got a little one. And if anyone's offended by me saying things like that, why? Most people aren't worth a shit. They aren't. That's not very Christian. I'm not pretending to be Christian, you guys. I am all about the golden rule, but the golden rule has been broken by almost every American. We're talking about worthless, shitty people who go along with lies and cheer on lies and are essentially bringing destruction on all of our lives. I don't give 2 shits about these losers, to be perfectly honest. What I care about is people have the ability to wake up and change their ways and stop swallowing the bullshit hook, line, and sinker. I get tired of the morons who are like, oh, numbers. That's how the average moron responds. Yeah, numbers. What they etched on the Masonic temple, the people who founded this nation, they etched all as number. Maybe you should look into it. Maybe you might actually be able to answer a few things. So that'd be the mental midget lemming you are getting led astray. I'm just going to go along with the herd. They all believe in Jesus. That's the problem. Bunch of animal creatures out here like George Orwell's Animal Farm. Josh, did you hear about Joshua John? Yeah, I did. I decoded it in 5 seconds and showed you how it was all synced up with the ongoing Charlie Kirk narrative to divide America. By the way, something I called out in February 2016 before Trump had even one Super Tuesday. So I might have to re-upload that video. All right. Shout out to Sage Zero with the big two. In Snake Eyes, Charles Kirkland shot on 9/10. Sage Zero, I don't know if like all your messages are just coded. I never know what you're saying, dude, with your super chat. In Snake Eyes, Charles Kirkland I have no idea what that means. In Snake Eyes, or is that rolling dice? Snake Eyes, Charles Kirkland. Okay, it's a film. It's a film. How about in the film? You guys speak to be understood. Speak to be understood. In the film Snake Eyes. Okay, then we would know. It's like in Snake Eyes. What's that? Charles Kirkland. Okay, here we go. On the night of a tropical storm, corrupt and flamboyant Atlantic City police detective Rick Santoro attends a boxing match at the soon-to-close local arena between heavyweight champion Lincoln Tyler. Now, consider that the shooting did come just right before a massive fight, like one of the biggest fights in, you could say, decades. And then, of course, the fighter Hatton was found dead right after at age 46. Sacrifice 46. Genesis 46 about sacrifice. JFK dead at 46. He meets up with his best friend since childhood, U.S. Navy Commander Kevin Dunn, who is working with the Department of Defense to escort Defense Secretary Charles Kirkland and Arena Director Gilbert Powell to fight after a trip in Norfolk, Virginia. You're telling me this Charles Kirkland is shot on the same day in the movie? Is Charles Kirk shot on September 10th in the film Snake Eyes? Well, apparently there's a Reddit post on this. Okay, this is saying it was September 19th. Now, September 19th is the day Him came out. Remember, it's the sacrifice day. So it happened if it's actually September 19th in the film, it happened 9 days prior. Remember Trump's little quote about looking good, number 9, looking good. You know, I mean, I still wouldn't say that's anywhere near a coincidence. Pretty much the same name, same month, a hair off. Hold on, let's see who plays Charles Kirkland in Snake Eyes. Charles Kirkland, Snake Eyes, actor. Who plays Charles Kirkland? All right, let me go to IMDb. Snake Eyes, IMDb. Keep in mind, this film would have come out 27 years ago, like Rituals 27. Joel Fabiani, an Italian, no doubt. What is it? Can you hear me?
Good hearing on democracy and about censorship. Usually with COVID, and Senator Johnson's going live right now. Then on C-SPAN.
My mom says everybody should watch C-SPAN right now. All right, look at this, you guys. Joel Fabiani, the actor who plays Charles Kirkland, who gets shot on a similar date to what happened to Charlie Kirk, he's 88 years old right now. What do you think about that? He's 88. Charlie Kirk dead 88 days after Trump's birthday. Turning Point USA, 88. I don't think this is an accident. All right, appreciate that, Sage Zero, even though you always write in code and I hardly ever understand what you mean with your super chats. Yeah, unbelievable. Unbelievable. I've never seen the movie Snake Eyes. Never seen it. Out of curiosity, his name Gematria. Joel Fabiani, 84. The university where he was shot was 84 years old. Hold up. There were some other 84s in the Charlie Kirk death as well. 84 is one of those special numbers. Jesuit, Masonry, United States of America. Let me see what other 84s I jotted down. I remember the college was 84 years old, though. It just drives me nuts how people just don't catch on. The first thing they do is just believe what they saw on TV. It's so pathetic. All right, hold up. I gotta remember. They announced on 8/4 they're gonna put up the Confederate statue in DC in October, and I think they're gonna do it on Charlie Kirk's birthday. We'll see. Either that or 201 days after Albert Pike's birthday. That could be the other way to do it. Let me get down to my 84s. Okay, it was all synced with the Superior General, 84, the Jesuit Order 84, Jesuit 84, United States of America, Arlington Heights, where he's from, Arizona, where the convention was. I guess those were the 84s. So this actor's name is also 84. He got married to a Greenberg. Interesting. All right, all right. I'm going over time here. I'm late for the next thing I got to do. All right, guys. Thanks again to everyone who hits the like and the share. I wish we could get supported like these frauds out here. Every fraud that's getting millions of views is also making a bazillion dollars in super chats. Again, you guys, imagine that we had people support this work, the best work on the internet, hands down. The way these shills get supported, man, we could actually change the world. But hey, $2 is better than zero. Thank you, Stage Zero. Everyone who can hit the like and share, leave a comment, might help this video reach a few more people. And shame on you if you tune into Shields and donate money like Candace Owens and these other trolls out here. These people are making sure you stay stuck on stupid. Until next time, True Seeker.